This is exactly what Vikings fans want to hear as GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah once again speaks on JJ McCarthy and the team's future. And Ian Rapoport delivers his final verdict on the Aaron Rodgers Free Agency drama. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Vikings Digest. So first, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all Vikings updates as we get closer and closer to the start of the NFL draft and mini camps and so much more. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Kwesi backs JJ again. So in an interview with NFL Network, if you guys want to pause it here and take a read through it, if not, I'll read it for you. It was an interview with Tom Pelissero where Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was saying that we're excited about JJ McCarthy. Obviously, he had an injury setback, but we're excited about everything he's done from that point, and we're going to go forward with that. He's been in a great spot. Every checkpoint he's exceeded. Every throwing session, every workout. I mean, the kid is so detailed and process-oriented. We talk a lot about leadership and having your quarterback embody what your culture is, and JJ is somebody that we want to be our starting quarterback for a long time. I want to chase this thing with Kevin O'Connell, him, myself, and the alignment we have together. We're going to look to always add depth to that room and upgrade it. But we've set out to build a type of team that's a very quarterback friendly to a young player. And from a running game, from a defensive standpoint, a lot of the moves we made in free agency was with that in mind. So obviously, everyone's talking about QB1, and Kwesi already came out and said that, we're not going to just say who the QB1 is right off the bat. There's still a whole lot more that has to happen before the start of the season, before they can make that decision. And JJ McCarthy has come out saying that he's perfectly fine with earning his spot and is honestly wanting to do that. He doesn't want to be given anything. He just wants to earn his spot and earn the right to be this team's franchise quarterback. What I love what Kwesi said was that a long time. They wanted JJ here a long time, and obviously for good reason. They went up and moved in the draft for him. They moved on from Kirk Cousins for him, which isn't saying much, but they moved on from Sam Darnold for him rather than getting distracted with that one season wonder that Sam Darnold was. But with this, Minnesota knows, hey, we want him here for a long time. That is why we have made the moves that we made. We have done everything that we've done in the offseason because of JJ McCarthy and making sure that him and any quarterback who comes into this system is able to succeed. We saw that happen with Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. Now we get to see that happen in even greater respect with JJ McCarthy because Kirk Cousins with Kevin O'Connell, solid team. We had some good seasons. Then he had Sam Darnold last season. It was a great season. Ultimately ended the way it did. But with that, Minnesota didn't have a reliable quarterback throughout the entire season. Yes, we were chanting Sam Darnold for MVP. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to ask yourself, did you guys really believe Sam Darnold was the MVP candidate or only because he was on the Vikings? I never was drinking the Kool-Aid throughout the entire season. I knew that at some point Cinderella was going to turn back into a pumpkin. Whether it was him or something on the Vikings, eventually the wheels were going to fall off this chariot. Eventually that is what happened. But with that, with Sam Darnold, we knew that he wasn't an MVP. We knew that he was playing above his caliber. Now, with that, is Minnesota technically a system quarterback team? Technically, yes, because we had success from Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold. But with that, we were able to draft a guy into this system that can be perfect. You know who a lot of people said was a system quarterback? Tom Brady. Look where he's at. Not saying JJ McCarthy's Tom Brady. We haven't even seen him play a regular season game yet. However, with that, it gives JJ a chip on his shoulder and a lot more assurance that he's going to be protected. He's coming into a good system. He's coming into a culture that he's embraced, that has embraced him. He's coming into a team that trusts him and that he trusts because of the pieces they've put around him. So everything with this is lining up for JJ McCarthy to have nothing but success other than his own talent and his own merit, which I'm sure he's going to be able to pull through on. Everything else, it's set up for him. Everything else is dependent on him at this point. It's almost like how we were saying with Kirk Cousins a few seasons ago when he got that extension, when he had all the weapons that he had. We said, anything right here is on Kirk Cousins. Ultimately, our offensive line wasn't what it should have been, and our defense did falter a bit more heading into that season. However, it was still the same thing where if you have all these weapons, there is no excuses. So with this, other than being a technically rookie quarterback, JJ McCarthy really has no excuses or no reason to fail beyond what is within his control. He's got the offensive weapons. He's got the offensive line to protect him. He's got the backfield to support him. He's got the defense to keep him to get him back on the field and score points. And he's got the defense to also be able to score points of their own and put games away and give him a nice little cushion. And he's also gained the trust of every player in that locker room to be surrounded by him. So all in all, as far as his mental well-being is going, I think JJ McCarthy is smooth sailing. And as far as how he's feeling, we're going to bring this back up from what he said with K. Adams, saying that I would say I'm 100%, but thank you, cheers to that. But yeah, just staying consistent with the rehab process and not wavering from that, and just staying disciplined with all the outside stuff and making sure, I'm not chopping wood and doing all that fun stuff. Well, maybe you should talk to Justin Jefferson about that and tell him to stop riding on ATVs, because clearly he has not had that mentality. But you see the video like Kirk was talking about where McCarthy was just meditating in a park and just trying to get his mind right. You see that if he's if he has his mindset right and heads into this season with the right mindset, that's going to go so much further for him than anything else. The mental aspect is such a big thing that a lot of people don't talk about. We saw firsthand last season with Bryce Young in that respect, where Bryce Young's second season, he was still struggled heavily, got benched for a few games, a lot of people were wondering if he was ever going to play again. Then he comes back and absolutely balls out for the Carolina Panthers, to the point where, I know this is another team, I think Carolina Panthers will be a sneaky playoff team that a lot of people are not going to be expecting to make the playoffs next year. Now with that, we saw what the Carolina Panthers did wrong. Minnesota saw that. They said, hey, we got that in JJ McCarthy, wearing the same number, mind you, saying, hey, we don't want that for him. We want him to come in and play the way Bryce Young played in the last bit of the regular season last year, but through the entire year. We want it to just be a full natural progression and not have as many speed bumps as a lot of other rookie quarterbacks had. Even Caleb Williams, he had a really solid season, but he still had a lot of struggles. They went out and they fixed that for him. So Chicago got better. Minnesota had to get better. Every team had to get better, and Minnesota definitely did that, and especially to make sure that their rookie quarterback was protected. And as far as when we're going to see JJ McCarthy back on the field again, the first day of organized team activities, April 21st. OTA offseason workouts are May 27th to 28th, June 3rd, 2nd to 3rd, June 5th, 16th to 18th, and then mandatory minicamp from the 10th to the 12th. The first phase of OTAs is just workouts. You don't get on the practice field until the second phase begins. First time you'll see McCarthy is on Tuesday, May 27th, when they get on the field. It's a small step towards playing a regular season game, but you have to start somewhere. So yeah, this is going to be a big one for the Vikings. May 27th is going to be a big, big day for Vikings fans, for the Vikings organization, because we finally get to see JJ McCarthy step onto a football field again, throwing that thing around and seeing what he has to bring into this regular season. But what do you guys think about all this, about what Kwesi's saying, about what everything surrounding JJ McCarthy heading into this season? How excited are you? Are you a little bit on the cautious side, or do you guys think this is going to be something that blows up in the Vikings' face? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is RapSheet's verdict. So on NFL Network, Ian Rapoport was talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Minnesota Vikings, talking about their future, saying, I don't believe Rodgers is waiting for the Vikings right now. He's had enough conversations with the Vikings and with his good buddy Kevin O'Connell to know that the Vikings are looking at JJ McCarthy as their starting quarterback. And if somehow or some way something terrible would happen, but this is not the case, it's not going to come now with Vikings and McCarthy. Any sort of realization would probably become more in training camp. Don't expect Rodgers to wait that long. The Vikings were in a place that Rodgers wanted to go. Probably would have taken less money to get there. It's just by now he's got to know that's not happening. So obviously the Rodgers conversation, everyone thinks it's a done deal that he's going to go to Pittsburgh. And that's what Rapoport was kind of saying here, that it's kind of on the writings on the wall that Pittsburgh's really the only place left for Rodgers to go, unless he's willing to wait until minicamp starts and training camp starts for the Vikings to come knocking on his door if there's a setback with McCarthy. So yeah, can't blame Rodgers for not waiting, obviously. And Minnesota fans, I know you guys are going to say, yeah, don't let him wait. Let him go anywhere else so we don't have to worry about or talk about this anymore. I know you guys are sick of tired of hearing us talk about this. However, whenever Aaron Rodgers and the Minnesota Vikings are brought up in the same sentence, you know we have to report on it, because anything with Aaron Rodgers seems to be huge in the NFL world, and it moves the needle regardless of how you feel about him. Aaron Rodgers is still a marquee player that, no matter what, is still going to have that appeal, and whenever his name is mentioned, it's going to be a big story. Whether it's something as small as him being on a beach, people go crazy about it. Small as something as Ian Rapoport saying this, people go crazy about it. Anything with Aaron Rodgers is going to be a big story, obviously. So as much as you guys don't want to hear us talk about it, Aaron Rodgers, it could be a possibility still at this point. Things aren't being ruled out. We've talked about how Diane Rossini doesn't think it's fully out of the option. Ian Rapoport's saying it's out of the question. Tom Pelissero isn't saying it's out of the question either. Mike Florio isn't saying it's out of the question either. So yes, the jury is still out. But as far as Ian Rapoport's concerned, his verdict is in as far as Aaron Rodgers. but the jury is still out as far as the other big insiders across the NFL. So very, very closely stay tuned to what they have to say and what it could mean for the Minnesota Vikings. And yes, the chance of Aaron Rodgers coming to Minnesota, as much as some of you guys don't want to accept it or don't want that to happen, it is something that could very much still happen within this offseason. But what do you guys think about Rapoport's comments down below? Let us know what you guys have to say. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.